Yo, Hegassen here, and today we are looking at For the Dark World. Wasn't really looking forward to going back and rewatching this one, but let's see if my thoughts have changed now that I've watched it. Let's get straight into it. So the film starts off with a little bit of backstory. We get to find out about the Dark Elves, and that before all of space and time there was darkness, and in the darkness some skeletons lived. Nope, in the darkness was some Dark Elves, and the Dark Elves, according to this, apparently made a thing known as the Ether, which I'm pretty sure is retconned later on in Guardians of the Galaxy to be the Celestials that made it. Or maybe they just made the casing or something, or turned what we now know, the Ether as an Infinity Stone, into the liquid thing that we see. I'm not sure, but it says that they made it and that it was their weapon. But anyway, it goes into this battle where we see the Dark Elves fighting the Asgardians. Not the Asgardians that we know today. It was Odin's father, Bor. And he was pretty much a bit of a bore because we don't really find out anything about his character other than that he was good in battle. And they steal away the Ether, the Reality Stone, is it? Using the Bifrost. Use that more often if you need something. Bifrost it, you know? It's just like a instant teleportation. You want to get rid of the Dark Elves? Bifrost them. Move them off somewhere else. They have this battle. You find out a little bit of history. It's kind of a cool scene. And then we go into the present with the Warriors 3 and the Lady Sif fighting on this planet. Good little bit of action. And then Thor shows up and beats everybody really easily, like he did back in the first film. So just when you think you get to see the Warriors 3, you know, being competent, doing some fighting, Thor just shows up again and beats them. We get one of Korg's species, one of the big rock dudes, the Kronan, turn up. And back in the day, that was a really good thing to see. You're like, oh, that's a nod to the comics, I know that. And you don't really think that it's ever going to pop up again. Obviously, back in the day, it was a nod to Korg, the character. Then we actually do get to see him pop up again in the form of Korg in Thor Ragnarok, as well as some other cameos here and there. So that was really cool. And Thor knocks him out in one hit, which was a funny scene, but Shazam pretty much sums it all up there, saying, perhaps next time we should start with the big one. Yeah, perhaps next time start with the big one, as in bring Thor into the battle straight from the start. He won it instantly here. He won it instantly in the first film when he was fighting the Frost Giants. Just always start with Thor. Then we go back to Asgard and we get to see Odin again. I like the little touch where he's got these crows, ravens, which is like a nod to the old mythology of Odin. They were like his eyes and they watched stuff for him. So that was really cool. And starts off, Odin is a little bit more likeable in this film. And then he's not. He's still a bit of an asshole. He doesn't understand his sons. He doesn't understand what all the pain he's put Loki through. He doesn't understand Thor's feelings and, how Thor likes Jane and likes Earth and stuff. So, Odin, you're still not selling me as a good character, a good dad, or anything like that. You know, you're still like the main problems for everybody in these films. But we do get to meet in more detail Odin's wife, Frigga, and she's really cool. I like her relationship with Thor and in particular Loki. Fortunately, later on in the film she dies, so just as we're starting to get to know her, she gets killed off, but that's a really good motivation for Loki later on in the film. We then cut back to Earth and we get to see Jane again. Jane is moving on from Thor because it's been 2 years or something like that. So she's moving on with her life and she's on a date, a really nice looking date actually, with Chris O'Dowd, which is good to see. It's quite a nice little scene, them two talking, and then it's instantly ruined by Darcy turning up, who kills the scene with terrible jokes. And in this film, she has a sidekick. So the sidekick has a sidekick, and her sidekick is also annoying. So two of them together, they're both really annoying. But Jane's still alright, and we get to see a little bit more of Eric Selvig here. He doesn't really come into the film till much later, but we get to see him on the news. And after the events of the Avengers, he has gone completely crazy. They're playing him a lot as a joke more in this film. Hopefully later on he'll get a little bit of redemption, because I feel really sorry for him in this film. But he seems as pretty funny. He's still a good character. I like his relationship with Thor when they meet up later later on in the film, Thor thinks that Loki's dead, and Eric Selvig is like, "Oh, thank goodness!" And he notices that Thor's upset. He's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry," but he's got this big cheesy grin on his face the entire time. That was a good scene. And yeah, so they're investigating all these space-time disruptions that are happening because there's this convergence of the 9 realms. I still don't really understand what the 9 realms really all are. You know, it seems like they are actual planets in our universe that you can fly to, and because later on in the film, Thor goes from Earth straight to another place straight away and leaves his hammer behind, and his hammer starts flying off into space, and then he goes back to Earth and it turns around and comes back. But they must be like connected by some kind of like weird space-time glitch, wormhole kind of thing. I don't really know. It's still not really explained other than the fact that they're connected. But okay, fine. Yeah, anyway, so they're merging and it's causing all of these crazy disruptions in this in this warehouse in London. There's some kids in there and they're playing Portal with it, you know, firing something through, making it go faster and faster and faster and faster. And this is where Jane gets possessed by the ether, which is like this, basically kind of looks like this red space sludge, and it possesses her. And for quite a lot of the rest of the film, she's either unconscious or like drowsy and stuff like that by it. But it's fine. She still has some good scenes in the next bit where they go to Asgard. But just speaking on the ether, when the Asgardians took it, they decided instead of destroying it, they were going to hide it from the Dark Elves. So they were like, "Oh, we'll hide it deep underground where no one will find it." And they just put it under London. Well, I'm not sure if it's London, but because she takes a portal there, but I'm assuming it is actually still under London, just very deep underground. But it's in a giant chasm with like old buildings and stuff, and it's not even buried. It's like just between 2 rocks, like stone slab things, in the middle of this big open chasm. How has nobody ever found that? You know, how has nobody ever done like found the giant chasm underneath London by like probing it down with sensors or something? That always kind of bugs me. Where actually is this thing? Why not just put the ether like in the middle of the sun or something, or in the center of Jupiter, crushed by all of the gravity of it? I don't know. It seems like a bit of a rubbish place to put it, but that's where it is. And like I say, Jane just gets possessed by purple sludge. She gets to reunite with Thor, and they have a kiss, and it really reminds me of Padme and Anakin kissing in Attack of the Clones. I fully expect Thor to be like, "I hate sand." It's like almost shot for shot. There's like water in the background and stuff. This is when they go to Asgard. So Thor takes Jane to Asgard, and you get this nice little swap of roles, where in the first Thor film, Thor had arrived on Earth and he was looking at Earth for the first time. In this film, it's Jane on Asgard and she's looking at Asgard for the first time. And I really kind of like it from this point, this part of the film, where you're on Asgard, seeing more of Asgard. It feels like a little bit more cosmic, feels a little bit more sci-fi, and I really like that. I really like these scenes. And then probably my favourite action scene of the film is the Dark Elves and Malekith attack. Because the Dark Elves have woken up, we get to see Malekith wake up in his spaceship. I quite like his design. I really like his ship design. I especially like their little fighters that they send to attack Asgard. They're like these ships with like swords on them, so they're like sword ships. They're really cool. His ship overall, the design is really nice. It kind of reminds me of like the collector base from Mass Effect a little bit. Very sci-fi. Unfortunately, Malekith as a character overall is a little bit bland. Doesn't have much going for him other than the fact that he wants the ether and to turn the world into darkness, and that's about it. Nothing else is really explained as to why or what else about his character that's driving him. He's unfortunately a little bit of a throwaway bad guy, which is a shame, as I think there could have been a lot of potential with him. But yeah, this middle bit here, this is the action scenes that I like. So they're attacking Asgard. We get to see some cool kind of very sci-fi-esque dogfighting and stuff going on, and all of the elves attack. They've previously sent in like a little sleeper agent who's this guy in armour that they captured, and they put him in the prisons where Loki is. And it's weird that all of the prisoners are all wearing all of their armour. Take all their armour off and just put them in there in their pants or something. Don't keep them in the cells with their armour, because they all break out now they're all wearing armour. So this guy, he crushes this stone thing and like jabs it in him, and he becomes like this kind of demonic buffalo guy, and he goes on a rampage. He's pretty cool. Loki gives him a little hint as to get out of there. So you still know that Loki still likes playing his mischief and stuff. And we get to see Hondo actually do a bit of action. He senses, he can't see it with his eyes, but he senses that there's a ship that's cloaked. You get to see him take it out, and then you think, yeah, he's just done his badass moment. And then a much bigger ship turns up, and he has to run down back to Asgard to help out. I always feel a little bit sorry for Hondo, because he's always just standing there out of Asgard in that room. As far as I can tell, there's nothing in that room. There's no toilet, there's nothing to do. So he has a pretty boring life, really, doesn't he? I mean, I guess he gets to see everything everywhere in the universe, so I'm sure he gets entertained that way. He gets to see some good stuff. But yeah, it's always weird that he always has to go all the way back to town, all the way back to Asgard along that long bridge. They don't even give him a horse or anything, so he's got to walk it, dragging that big helmet and sword. Poor Hondo. This then leads into my second favourite action scene of the film, where Thor has to team up with Loki, and their dynamic is great. I love their back and forth banter. I love the fact that they obviously still love each other and they still see each other as brothers, but they're enemies and they can't trust one another. They got a good little dynamic there. There's a great little cameo of Captain America where Loki transforms into Captain America. That's great. So Thor and Loki, with the help of Heimdall and two of the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, they plan on going to stop Malekith and draw him away from Asgard. Odin, being arrogant and just being a terrible, terrible leader, doesn't let them do it. He just wants to fight on Asgard soil. He's probably like a little bit revenge driven by the fact that they killed his wife. So they do this against Odin's will, and it's a cool little escaping out of Asgard scene. I like it. All of the Warriors 3 and the Lady Sif, well, two of the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, they get left behind basically. But they have a few little good moments. Shazam probably has the best moment where he jumps off of a ship and swings across and takes out some other people. And then Thor, Jane and Loki go to this planet, Vanaheim, which is just a great big blue screen. It's not that interesting. There's some good stuff happening on that planet. We get to see them fight the Buffalo guy and get to see Loki using a lot of his trickery and stuff, and he's like holograms and magic. But yeah, the planet itself is a little bit bland. It just looks like it's all kind of shot through an Instagram filter, and there's not much interesting to look at. It's just rocks and clouds and sand blowing up in people's faces. I hate sand. So you should have said it. For me, this is like where the film kind of takes like a little bit of a step down. They then end up back in Earth for the big final battle in Greenwich. There's some good moments in this for fighting Malekith, falling through all of the portals and stuff, going from world to world is pretty funny. You see Thor hammers zipping around trying to catch up with him, that I mentioned earlier on. That's good. Thor ends up getting all the way to Charing Cross, and he has to get on the train to go to Greenwich. This woman on the train tells him it's 3 stops, which is very, very clearly wrong, but it's still a funny little scene. And then Malekith gets taken down really quickly, and like I say, this is where his character was a little bit of a disappointment. He grows really big, you think it's going to be a badass fight, and it's just Thor just kind of kicks him, and then his arms get ripped off and his ship falls on top of him, and that's about it. Again, I don't know why they always keep killing off with these characters. Obviously Red Skull survived from Captain America, and Loki survived, of course, but it just feels like they're wasting all of these other characters. It would have been interesting to kind of at least maybe keep him around, bring him back into the thing later on, build on his character a little bit more, but no, kind of like the Frost Giants in the first 4, just gets killed off, and then that's the end of them, I guess. Probably the biggest problem with this final battle on Earth is the fact that, again, Darcy and her assistant keep taking up screen time with their rubbish jokes, but apart from that, it's alright. So overall, what do I really think of For the Dark World? I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to going back this time. There are some good moments in this film. I like all of the lore that's explained, and you get the hints about the Infinity Stones in this film. And I really like the middle bit. I like seeing more of Asgard. I like how you get a little bit more of that cosmic side, and I like the look and design of the Dark Elves, but not their characters overall. And there's some great character stuff for Thor and Loki, and their back and forth, their banter, and even though Eric Selvig was played more of a joke. He had some good scenes and stuff. So there was some good solid stuff in this film. I obviously don't think it's one of the best MCU films overall, but I'd say that for The Dark World, it's a blue tier for me. You know, I enjoyed it much more this time going back to it than I thought I was going to, especially coming straight off the back of Iron Man 3, which I absolutely hated. So yeah, for The Dark World, it was a pleasant surprise. An easy watch, not one I'd watch a lot, but much better than I remember it being. Also, should talk about the end scene of the film where there's that twist where you find out that Loki has done something to Odin and is now sitting on the throne of Asgard, although disguised as Odin. Really makes you want to revisit this universe and find out what's going to happen next. So, what do you think of For the Dark World? Do you like it? Do you hate it? And what did you think of my video? Let me know in the comments below, and if you did like my video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back next time with Winter Soldier, a film that I haven't seen in a long time, and it's probably one of the films in the MCU that I haven't seen the much of. So I'm really looking forward to going and rewatching that one. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!